it became very clear to me that this was a process of my physical development in which I needed to learn how to resolve my pain, resolve my tension. I needed to find a way to process my negative tendencies, so to say. That's a term I came across in Campbell, Fire in the Mind. He was quoted as saying that in one of his letters. It's a biography of him. Um, and I realized that what I had taught myself was a way to get past my injury, heal myself from my injury within my disability, obviously. I'm still permanently disabled, but I could manage my pain, learn how to manage my pain, and still develop strength. And how to process all that stuff. That I needed to learn how to do that basic, for all intent and purposes, yogic training, even though I wasn't trained. It just came naturally to me. Um, it was just really important for me to realize that I was going through a process of where I'd taken life too seriously. And what vision came to my life, what came to my awareness was that the people that I was around wanted me to take things too seriously. They wanted me to define the world the way they defined it. And the way they defined it was far too serious. They were taking themselves far too seriously. And I looked at their lives and I said, well, gosh, look at what they're putting themselves through. They're putting themselves through these tremendous requirements. And this is based on the definitions of what they were raised and came to accept themselves as real. Um, and it broke me, and many people have definitions that, the strong survive kind of mentality to their definitions where if you don't have it, then you die. Then you are suffering and you're somehow less than. It's a hierarchy of superiors and inferiors. And the whole hierarchy came to my awareness to be an illusion. Though I was firmly rooted within my own being that, of course, I would rather die a happy death than a sad, miserable, enduring, long, sufferable one. It's I get it. This is true. I understand that it's better to treat people nice than treat people bad. I get that. I don't want to hurt people, and I don't want to hurt myself. I understand that. But as all this was developing, it was very telling to me that through my experience and how I had been trained by these different schools of thought, that we can't we can be anything we want. We really can. However, we can't demand that other people live their lives by our definitions. And that's what's really interesting, is that I'm getting to this point where I'm really okay with people having their own definitions. And I wonder if you can really have one of those love relationships where you feel like you're really connected and one with each other without having definitions that limit you, that separate you from the other person. I was just watching a PBS special on, I think it's Life. I think that's the name of the show. And it's about people of my parents' generation sharing their life experience. And I was listening to this one woman, and she was talking about a metaphor she felt was very telling, is that this man was in a canoe and he was coming to the shore, and he realized as he was getting closer to the shore his wife was in a canoe, but as he was coming to shore she was leaving shore and going, and the metaphor is that he's coming home in his later years and she's just leaving home in her later years. I think if we take ourselves too seriously, then we have to separate ourselves out. I was talking to another friend at the wake yesterday about how, historical events are those things that are not normal, that are extraordinary. So if you want to, mark your place in time, you have to do something that is not atypical. And the other day I heard another quote about some important writer, I think, was talking about it. Somebody was quoting them, and they were saying how the unique individual suffers, kind of thing. And, I go out into the world and I realize, I have my own definitions of suffering and my own experience of suffering. So that there are certain things I'll suffer for willingly, and there are other things that seem very surface oriented and not that important. They almost seem an insult to life to suffer for them. Um, there's this young kid that was shot in Florida recently. Trayvon Martin or something like that. I don't know. He was shot by this guy Zimmerman, and it's a big to do. There's a lot of people that feel that it was wrong. It was a wrongful shooting and murder. But I look at how everybody's all getting together into a group and having this companionship and camaraderie around this issue. And they're reciting old terms and phrases like no justice, no peace, and that kind of thing. Regurgitating the same old cycle, it looks like, that they needed something to get together around, something to be pissed off about, and that's what brings them together. And some argument that they need to set themselves in opposition to, which I've talked about in previous talks. I just, people sometimes really don't want to get along. But the purpose of the argument is to come into deep, intimate contact with the thing they're opposing. And in order to really succeed in what they're opposing, succeed in their opposition, they take on the traits of that which they oppose, and they employ the exact same techniques, only for their own benefit rather than what they're opposing. And they actually become the very thing they've set themselves up in opposition to. On the surface, they may have a different intention within, but the same thing, they've become the same thing. I have this aphorism: we become the very thing we hate. And it has to do with this dynamic dynamo of opposing forces, which Spengler talks about. I really think I'm at a place where I'm my consciousness is developing to a point where it can be more at home. There's still a state of tension in there, but it's more comfortable. It's not new and different, but comfortable with that. Not really comfortable, but coming to terms, an actual coming to terms with, in a productive way, with the world being a mystery. And if it's a mystery, then I can just enjoy the divine superfluous beauty of it. I don't have to try to make the beauty. I don't have to try to destroy the ugly. It's a coming to terms with it. I'm very, very grateful for having this opportunity. But at the same time, I think of how we are afforded this opportunity, and that this is an opportunity available to me here in America at this time, and that it may have no validity for times in the future. Have a good day. April Fools.